Bring your own device or choose your own device. This is Mac Voices. This edition of Mac Voices is supported by the Mac Voices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter to keep you up on all the latest from Mac Voices. Watch or listen to Mac Voices straight from your email client. Sign up at macvoices.com/newsletter and stay up to date. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 3 in a 3-part Mac Voices live conversation. This time we wrap up our conversation about the impact of Steve Jobs 10 years after his passing, and get into an extended discussion of bring your own device versus choose your own device, what it means for you and what it means for your employer. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. Yeah. And you're right, Mark. I don't usually spend much time or try not to on the show looking back, but at the same time, you can't deny the accomplishments, and you just very eloquently went through a bunch of them. And there are others that you can throw in there. I think it's really interesting that our previous discussion on Facebook was talking about all the highlights of negativity and why we hate that, and then at least some of this discussion was about some of Steve's personality challenges. And that's not saying that we should just, wash over all the negative things. But I think, at the end of the day, you want to remember the positive things, just like any of us. You'd like to be remembered for the positive things you did. So, okay, so we have one last topic that we're going to try to touch on because we still have a little bit of time left, based on what our normal show has become. There was an article today, and I've got to find it, and I'll throw it in the chat rooms, about bring your own device and why this may be a good thing for the organizations today. So I'll work on that and throwing it in the chat room. And David, I think you had some thoughts right off the bat on this. Oh, thank you. David threw it in the chat room. I'll throw it in the YouTube, David, while you talk.
Yeah. So yeah, bring your own device. This has been a hot topic in the enterprise for a long time. Working in the enterprise as I do, and others on this panel, a lot of companies want to keep control of devices. They want to have a centralized way of managing. They want to have a centralized way to manage hardware, and they don't want any rogue devices going on the network. Well, I think things are changing. I think companies like Dell are becoming very poor at managing their products. Dell has, in the last few years, I can say with experience, have been very, very difficult to deal with and can't keep up with shipping their products. Not that I'm saying Apple is any more perfect than that, but I think more so the whole point of the bring your own device is the fact of the morale of the employee. And a lot of employees would prefer, well, not a lot of employees, but I think some employees would probably prefer having a Mac versus a PC in many cases. And you look at bigger companies, I've brought this up many times, companies like IBM, who have 150,000 Macs in their environment. That's because they're giving the option whether or not you can get a Mac or a PC. And it seems overwhelmingly many employees are leaning towards that. SAP is doing the same thing. So is Starbucks. So is Walmart. So as many of these other big, large corporations, and imagine managing all those machines all at once. Well, they obviously keep them in well managed because there's a lot of great tools out there that are doing that. Jamf being one of them for Mac. So I think in itself, I think Apple has done a much better job of improving the enterprise experience. It's always been a very big challenge with being able to manage Macs in the enterprise environment. It's just because, unfortunately, a lot of the companies still want to have a Windows environment, and trying to cram a Mac down a Windows Active Directory and trying to get it to work is always very challenging in many respects. So, but overall, I think it's my feeling is I'm hoping that more and more companies are going to start seeing that how the return on investment as well as the efficiencies with employees, I think, will be the two things that will be key that a Mac can come into play and be much better at it when it comes to bringing your own device as well as supplying them the device. But I think a lot of times, I think a lot of people or a lot of companies are going to let people, if you want to use your own device, you can, and they can still protect it. But so there's two sides to that, providing the Mac in the environment or bringing your own. And I think companies are starting to see that it is doable, and it could save them some money in the long run.
I just threw a second article into the chat too that I think we had touched on it a couple of weeks ago. That 89% of employees would take a pay cut to choose their own work device, which I think is just stunning. Patrice, you have some thoughts in this area.
Oh, I do. I mean, David talked a lot about Macs, but bring your own device doesn't mean bring your own Mac. Like, it can be any device. Yeah, I mean, it can literally be anything. And I think that the reason why this is happening is more and more people are bringing their mobile devices to, or have been bringing their mobile devices to companies, like for the last couple of years already. And I think the companies had to deal with that somehow, because people didn't want like the corporate phone. They wanted to just use their phone. They didn't want to use the corporate tablet. They just wanted to use their tablet, whatever it was. So, I mean, it makes sense in one way. It doesn't make sense on another level, because I think there's still something to say for having the option of having a dedicated like corporate machine, whatever it is. You should have the option, like what IBM has been doing, or what a lot of big companies are doing, where it's like you order whatever you want. Like, here's your budget, go order. Apple has been doing a lot in that area. Like, I mean, they nowadays have MDM solutions. They have like, you can have a corporate like Apple store, basically. You can go in, and that's something Apple provides in the business tools. You can go in and basically allow your employees to order Apple gear directly from them, and it comes pre-configured. Stuff like that. I mean, it's I said, it's a lot of small changes that are now coming to the point where everything is opening up. And then, I mean, last but by no means least, don't forget the M1.
Right.
I think, and I see that in my company, a lot of people are seeing that Dell and all the others are way behind, and Apple is jumping ahead with the M1. And that is pushing a lot of companies to reconsider, including ours.
Yep. Jeff?
Patrice hit on what to me is an important part of the whole bring your own device thing. And okay, so first, bring your own device. I don't like the idea of bring your own device, because now the company is expecting me to buy my own equipment to support their business. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to impose on me and my personal equipment their company policies.
Yep.
Bad. No, don't like that.
Yep.
What I like is what Patrice brought up, which is choose your own device. And the company buys it, the company owns it, but you got the device that's actually best for you, so that you can be as productive as you possibly can. That's the way that I like to see it happen. If I was running a corporation and people were bringing their own devices to do company work, I would be concerned about how well protected that device is from malware and or any other sort of penetration attack where someone could get into the company's servers through this device that the company doesn't own. And I mean, let's be honest, you cannot tell your employees, don't look at porn on your own computer that you're using for work, because it's going to happen and you're not going to be able to stop it. And do you really want to have that personal computer, the data from it getting subpoenaed for some court hearing at some point, And now you, as the employer, are having to explain why you have an employee that was incessantly on not wearing pants, onlyfans.com.
Let alone the issue that you don't know how old the device is or how well managed it is. Like,
Right.
I mean, it might be a 8-year-old MacBook Pro that someone is using as a football all day. So
It really
do you want
depends on
that?
device.
Yeah.
It really
So
depends on what
choose your own
device you're
device.
talking about.
That's the way to go.
Phone, like in my company, we let them use their own phones, but computers basically not. So I mean, it's a lot harder to manage like laptops and desktops because, like what you said, it could be an 8-year-old piece of junk. I mean, we don't want to support that. In the IT field, I don't want to support that. If somebody brings an iPhone or Android and it's fairly recent, you put the MDM on it, you put a profile in there, it's pretty good. So I mean, there is, people say there's less cost, but I think it depends on what device you're talking about.
Mark, I know you got to go, so I'm going to say thank you so much for being here and contributing. Where can folks find you?
Okay, thank you. Our internet is just frozen.
Yeah, you're still alive.
Simplest place, Twitter at MARK Fuccio, FUCCIO, all one word, lowercase. So it was great. Hope to look forward to joining you again all soon. Have a
Great.
good time, everyone. Great conversation.
Thanks so much. Kelly, I wanted you to get in here.
Yeah. So #day job. Much like David, this is a thing that I spend a lot of time on. And the thing that the BYOD conversation brings up, first of all, bring your own device and choose your own device. And companies that are making Apple hardware available as an option for that thing that you need to do for them is a very, very different conversation. Part of the reason for that is the amount of management that you have, like Jeff was pointing out, on personal devices. And one of the things that I think needs to be pointed out is that if you have your work stuff on your personal phone, then when are you on vacation? When are you off work? And so there's a reason that when I got the job I have, my company offered me, would you like a separate phone or do you want to use your phone? And I'm like, no, I will have 2 phones because then I can put that one down when I'm not working and I can be not at work. And I can draw a nice fat line between me and my work hardware and call it good. And I appreciate that. And just like all the other things that people pointed out, like we don't know what device it is you're bringing if you're bringing your own device. Are you keeping it up to date? Are you running a virus scanner? Are you running any sort of utility that helps keep it safe? Like, are you encrypting your drive? If you have access to people's personal data, like, do you have file vault enabled? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into all of these things. And all of those things go into the decisions that are made when machines are deployed to you by your company. So maybe you get to choose one, but if you choose, Patrice gets a new job at my company and I go, okay, I need to deploy a laptop to Patrice. Now I have the option with an Apple laptop of buying it through my Apple business account, having it shipped directly to Patrice, who is not in the same country I am in, and it can get to Patrice. Patrice opens it up, and I, as a macOS administrator, can set things up in what's called zero touch, which means Patrice gets it, opens it up. When she opens it up and gets the machine open, it checks in with Wi-Fi, and it goes, okay, I'm online. The serial number is already showing up in my MDM, and Patrice sees it and goes, okay, I'm going to put in my password, and like, here's the Wi-Fi network. Here's the password that Kelly sent me yesterday because she knew my machine was going to be here today. And it goes through whatever parts of the setup assistant need to happen. And then it authenticates on my end, and the MDM, maybe it sends me an email because I'm plugged in like that and says, hey, Patrice's laptop just checked in. You may want to go say hello. And then I can be like, okay, I'm going to wait and see if Patrice has trouble with Slack, because every once in a while somebody can't get to email or can't get to Slack or something. So I can send Patrice a note and be like, hey, how's it going with your machine? Everything fine. And we can work it out. But like, I'm optional in that equation. Like I don't have to be there because it gets to Patrice. She opens it up, looks at her laptop. Everything's fine. She logs in. She starts getting meeting requests, whatever. And there's a way to do that with an Apple device effectively. And there didn't used to be. And so making it something that you can do on a remote scale, on a remote level at scale is very nice. So but there's a big difference between me saying, Patrice, you're looking lovely today. Would you like to mostly I wanted to compliment your watch band because I know, but do you want a Windows machine to do the job that you're doing, or do you want a Mac to do the job that you're doing? Because you can do it on either one. It's your call. Is a very different conversation from Patrice going, well, I have this MacBook, this iBook that, might get on the Wi-Fi, and I'm going to make this my work machine now, because then it's my problem. And I don't want to have to do that. And part of it is like the line between what's my hardware, like what's work hardware and what's personal hardware. And that should be a line that we're still drawing, and we're not. And a lot, and particularly the pandemic and forcing people home and all that sort of stuff has like forced the issue a lot, because a lot of people are working from home. Like I couldn't bring my Dell desktop machine home with me. So I'm just sort of trying to get by on the laptop that the kids were using, or whatever. And like, and it's a nightmare. Like as a person who has to support whatever the organization has, like if what the organization has is rough, then that's difficult. And particularly if the organization isn't interested in keeping any of those sorts of things in place. I had a conversation with somebody recently who said, hey, I got a new work phone. Check it out. I got an iPhone 12. Because this was earlier this year. I got a new iPhone 12 from work. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, do you know what? Because I know it's a person who talks to people in IT. And I'm like, okay, so what, do you know how they're signed up with MDM? Like, did you have to put any profiles on your phone or anything? No. Okay. Do you have to have like a managed Apple ID to use that with your work stuff? No. Do you have any idea how much sleep I'm going to lose over the fact that you're carrying around a phone with company data on it that just anything? Well, why? And I sat down and rattled off like 10 different ways that this was a terrible idea that was basically going to end in that company going out of business. And they were like, I didn't know you were so devious. And I'm like, here's the thing. I'm not. This is me not trying very hard and finding all of these ways that this is a thing that is a terrible, terrible idea. Number one. Number two, somebody who is good at this has 50 more of these ways to do terrible things with the data on that device that you don't know anything about and you will never notice. And that's where, and right. And now all of a sudden, everyone else has, whatever. And that's where it's a problem, is because I can't enforce, if Patrice does manage to get that creaky old iBook on the Wi-Fi, I can't enforce any kind of policies on somebody's personal device to make that stuff happen. And nobody's going to like that. Nobody's going to want me to. Patrice shouldn't have to have me enforcing some sort of passwords or file vault on that machine or anything like that, because it's Patrice's personal machine. She doesn't need that kind of grief and heartache in her life. She's already on an iBook, for crying out loud. Like, cut her some slack. So there's a whole bunch of ways that the BYOD stuff is terrible. If you can silo it off, I do know people who, instead of having a work phone, like I only get work email. I can't use any of my other work tools. And my email is sectioned off in this own little app, and I have to have a special profile installed to do that. So that if somebody needs to get a hold of me, like I'm on call or something, like this is a way that people can reach me if it's super urgent, but that's it. Like I can't do anything else on my phone. I'm not allowed to do anything else on my phone. There's no capacity to do anything else on my phone. That's awesome. Like if that's the thing that you need, that's okay. Like I can see where maybe that's a thing that like you might need in the off hours, or, you're a reliability person. Like, maybe you're an admin in charge of a bunch of Facebook servers, just to take it back to the beginning of the conversation, and somebody really needs to get a hold of you right now.
Okay. We're cutting you off there, Kelly. You're done.
But there are things like, there are times when I could see something like that being okay, but like on a fundamental level, I feel like the BYOD stuff is a terrible idea. And I think the choose your own device stuff is a really interesting option because it really didn't used to be the case. And in a lot of places, it's still not.
Let's go back to printers and passwords.
Yep.
Printers and passwords.
Yeah. Guy,
that's a whole other podcast, Warren. Not a whole other show, a whole other podcast.
What boils Kelly's blood?
Yeah. Guy, I wanted to, I know you've talked a little bit about what you do for work, and you're free to reveal as much or as little as you want to here, but that's
tell it all, Guy. Tell it all.
Tell us.
That's got to be a big issue in your world.
Yeah. I actually just recently bought a Samsung phone to use at work because I didn't want to use my iPhone at work.
Oh,
I didn't want to use my personal number that all of my friends and family call me on and have the rest of the organization that I work for also have that number. I don't want to get too much into it, but we do have a secure environment that anyone can not anyone, but anyone with the proper credentials can log into and get access to a certain amount of material that they can use to get their job done. Is it a perfect system? Certainly not, but it's good enough for probably 90% of the people that need to do their job from home because they're not allowed to come into work. I'm one of the lucky ones that live close enough to the office that I work in so that I've basically been going in every day for the last year and a half. And it's been, and somebody actually brought this up to me because I was talking to them and I was saying, well, I've been so unhappy because it's like I'm the only one at work. And they were like, well, yeah, duh, you're a very social person and you need people to bounce stuff off of, and you just don't have it when there's nobody in the office. And it was like, yeah, that's right. But it doesn't matter because, I mean, you deal with the circumstances that you have to deal with as compared to the perfect world that you may want to live in. So I'm doing what I have to do to get by in my job, and I'm helping as many people as I possibly can from my position at work because they can't be at work. And, I mean, this is the new reality. This is what a lot of people are having to deal with. So, okay, it kind of sucks for me, but I don't really know what else to say. It's what I do. It's why I run a help desk. It's why I for my entire tech career, part of my job has been to teach the people that are under me on how to do the same thing I do. Because when something breaks at 4:00 in the morning, maybe they'll call you instead of calling me. That's the way I look at it.
I'm getting a bunch of messages in the back chat that people are falling asleep or have children waiting for them, or I forget there are several other demands that are, well, we're not going to get into some of the other demands that are being made on these people's time. So we're just going to, yeah.
It's a wrap.
Don't go there, Jeff. Yeah, like that furry thing in Guy's hands.
So she was scratching the door. I couldn't ignore her.
We're going to go around the room and let you know where you can find these folks when they're not here. So take it from the top this time. David Ginsburg, thanks for being here. We appreciate your enterprise perspective. Where can folks find you?
You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. Kelly will be on the show this week. And also find me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65. You can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And I'm on the Mac Show on Fridays with Patrice and with Chuck and with Jeff. And thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you, David. Jeff Gamet, freshly shorn, I think. Where can folks find you?
Did it just get hot in here? People can find me on Twitter and Instagram, JGamet, both places, youtube.com/JGamet. Dave rattled off a bunch of the shows that I'm on here. I kind of get around. Just Google me. You'll find me.
There's a name for people like that.
There is, and I probably need the t-shirt.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm glad that you don't have the T-shirt to wear on the show. Jay Miller, thank you. Thank you for throwing so much commentary in the back chat that I couldn't even keep up.
As always, happy to be here. Relay.fm/conduit. If you like how I talk when I'm angry, you'll love it when I talk happy and all positive. That's the show for productivity and positivity, folks. Also, I know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is super important. It's also ADHD Awareness Month. So if you have a friend that has brain troubles like I do trying to finish the sentence, just let them know, hey, I see what you're doing and I appreciate it. Like Brittany, who's helped me a lot in, getting better at what I do. Also YouTube, everything, Twitter, website, all that stuff at KJY Miller. And yep, have a good one.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for being here. And thank you for saving all your angry for Mac Voices Live. We appreciate it.
Every week I get it all out.
It's therapy.
You should see him on Wednesday. He's so chill.
Jim Ray, where can folks find you? And do you chill after you leave here?
Okay, let me wake up and think about it.
Good.
I'm going to go for a walk. I need to get my steps in, and it's getting dark.
Okay.
Yes, where am I? Provue.com, PROVUE.com, and Provue Jim on Twitter.
Great. Thanks for being here, Jim. Jim's going to scold me later.
No. You're not unless you yell at my receptionist, then I don't have a receptionist anymore. So,
then I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining Jim powering down a couple of Red Bulls before Mac Voices just to get to this level.
The man with cat in hand, Guy Serle.
Yeah, Kismet at Kismet.com. No, I'm kidding. Podcast at vertshark.com. Vertshark.com is the website. MyMac.com podcast is the typical podcast that I'm on, as well as something really stupid called Guy's Daily Drive, where I talk and drive my car at the same time and rub my stomach and pat my head. So, it's a quadruple threat. Mac Parrot on the Twitters, VertShark on the Twitters. And there's other stuff, but basically, if you look for Mac Parrot or VertShark, there I am. And my cat.
Thank you.
Kismet.
I'll be talking to your insurance company later.
Ooh, she's getting mad.
Ooh.
I'm going to let her go now.
I think so. Everyone has opinions on the show tonight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's got strong words for
Steve Jobs was not that bad.
She's got strong words for Jim's receptionist, I think.
Yeah.
Patrice, thank you so much for staying up very well. Actually, by now it's probably early.
Well, yeah, it's almost 4 a.m. So yeah. I'm on vacation, so that's all good. I'm on British Tech Network twice a week with some lovely people like Jeff and Chuck and David and some others. Thursdays on the Big Show, Fridays on the Mac Show. Everything I'm doing, like all the social media links, and if you want to buy me a coffee and all the projects and whatnot, you can find on thepatrice.com. And my podcast is the Foodie Flashback at foodieflashback.com, where I talk about food and food-related memories and everything with a lot of very interesting people.
Excellent. Thanks for being here, Patrice. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the Mac Show on Friday for me.
Definitely, yes.
That's right. I get to hang out with both of you and Dave.
Yeah.
Kelly, you need to take a morning off at some point so that you can join in on the Mac Show. I'm the interim host.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh is right.
Just saying.
Yeah, but is that a for me or is it for you?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Either way, it's gonna be good.
Chuck got it. The correct answer is yes.
Yes. Brittany, thank you for being here. I want to make sure that I'm sorry, I was not aware that it was breast cancer awareness. Excuse me, that it was ADHD month. as well as breast cancer awareness. So yes, by all means, another very worthy, reasonable kind of thing that folks need to pay attention to. Where can they find you to help them pay attention to it?
I'm Twitter. On Twitter, I am the ADD Liberator, not a coincidence. And that's also who I am on YouTube. And yeah, on that note, we're gearing up for the International Conference on ADHD, which is the first week of November. So we have the whole month of October leading up to it of ADHD Awareness Month. And that is why I'm often late to the show, is because we have our conference committee meeting at 4:30 Pacific or 4 o'clock Pacific, and it's scheduled for 2 hours. So, so that now you know, that's it. It's all part of the machine. So thanks for having me, Chuck.
Hey, it's always great to have you. Absolutely great to have you. Are you speaking at the conference this year?
I am, but only at the Professionals Institute. So a general admission ticket will not, you will not see me. I'm telling the professionals what to do.
Ah, I see. So you have to pay to see Brittany at this one. You
have to pay more to see me.
To pay more. Oh, okay. There you go. Top shelf. Kelly Guimont, thank you for being here as always. Where can folks find you?
Well, first I want to say, like, the thing about ADHD Awareness Month is that you really only have to be aware of ADHD for like 10 minutes and then you're done and it's fine. So really? No, nothing. Brittany's with me. Okay. Brittany's with me. Yeah. All right.
I gotta give you a chuckle.
Okay.
I didn't make it 10 seconds. So
It was I forgot what you said already.
So yeah, little joke about that big. You can find me getting ADHD counseling for Brittany on a regular basis because my brain is also weirdly wired, and that's a thing that sometimes I need assistance with. The rest of the time, you can find me 5 days a week hosting the Mac Observer Daily Observations podcast over at macobserver.com. You can find me on my own show over at the Incomparable Network, which is called I Want My MCU TV. You can also find me there occasionally on the Football is Life podcast and other places where I talk about Ted Lasso and other sorts of stuff that is super great and lots of fun that I like very much. You can find me on the After Show with Mike Rose at aftershowpodcast.com. We will probably have an upcoming episode about the surreal experience Mike and I had in the process of Steve Jobs passing away. It's a long story and we'll talk about it over there. And the rest of the time, you can find me on Twitter as Verso.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Good to have you as always.
So much.
Last but absolutely not least, Warren Sklar. Warren, where can folks find you, or can they?
In the basement.
In the basement. Fun fact, Brittany, is I was hyperactive. I was hyperactive before ADHD. So that's how old I am. Can you talk about that?
Wow, Warren's OG.
Hyperactive.
Okay, but it's had different names and existed since the 30s as a diagnostic.
I never told you how old I was, so I could be.
So what I'm hearing is Warren is a vampire.
500. No.
Anyhow, I am still in Quarantineville. I'm going for the COVID record. I'm on week 3 at this point, so we'll see how that goes. If I'm still alive, I will be joining Dave and Kelly on Thursday. And if Facebook is still alive, you could join us tomorrow at the Back to the Future Facebook group, as long as it's DNS is working and Mark Zuckerberg didn't shut its switch down.
That escalated quickly.
I mean, there's a lot of,
if I'm still alive, I'll be on the show tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of, there's a lot of questions of whether tomorrow is going to, happen the way we want it all to happen. So let's see how it goes. One day at a time is how I go.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. I want to thank you all again. Thank you, Warren. Thank everybody for being here tonight, even the ones that, cut out early. I also want to thank the folks in the chat room. A lot of interesting comments here. Rich was saying a lot of support for personal devices. Webb thanked everyone. What else did we have here? Oh, Cletus probably gets the last word on Steve Jobs. So Steve embodied humanity, the bad and the good. Good way to say it, Cletus, no question. So this has been Mac Voices Live. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time it is, wherever you are. We would love to have you join us. If you're listening to this because you're asleep, and normally at those times, you can always catch us on the MacVoices feed. And if not, please join us in the chat room. It's always a lot of fun. Until the next time, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.